Hello, I am Chaitanya Davé. I am a social, political and environmental activist. Welcome to this documentary. It is on behalf of the betterworld.earth, a society for making the world better, and also on behalf of Pragati Foundation, which helps the poor villagers of India. My message is addressed to 1.39 billion Indians, especially the youth, and also those living abroad, and also the government and the opposition party. This is about zero population growth revolution that I recommend for India. It is about time that we launch that zero population growth movement. I'm going to discuss historical facts, reasons for poverty and the population growth, current situation, what future holds for us if this continues, the consequences, and the demographic dividend. I will explain that later. Historically, 10,000 BC, around 12,000 years ago, India's population, that is Indian subcontinent including Bangladesh and Pakistan, which were not there at that time, but India was always there. India's population was 100,000 people, 10,000 BC. 4,000 BC, it grew to 1 million people. 2000 BC, that is 4,000 years ago, during Harappan civilization and Mohenjo-daro civilization, the population had grown to 6 million people. 500 BC, during the time of Buddha and Mahavir, the population had grown to 25 million people. 1 AD, during the time of the birth of Jesus Christ, the population had grown between 35 to 60 million people. In 1820, during the British rule, the population had grown very fast to 200 million people, and in 1941, still during the British rule, the population had grown to 389 million people. The growth rate was 10%. Extremely high. Today's growth rate compared to that is 0.99%. So in 4,000 years, from 2000 BC to today, the population has grown from 6 million to 1.39 billion people. Immense growth. And unless this growth is drastically reduce growth rate, the India will remain a poor nation. It will take a long time for India to come up. Currently, the population of India is 1.39 billion people. That of China is 1.43 billion. India's growth rate per year today is 0.99. Over the years since independence, India's growth rate has come down slowly and steadily. But is that enough? No. India will surpass China in population, according to many estimates, by 2023, somewhere around that. If everything continues the way it is, India's population in 2050 will be 1.63 billion people. India's total fertility rate, that is TFR, today is 2.2. TFR required for zero growth or replacement growth of the population is 2.1. In other words, when a woman has 2.1 children or less, then the population growth rate stops. When a woman has more than that, more children than that, then population keeps growing. So replacement rate is 2.1. That is what we are heading for, we should head for. Our current TFR is 2.23, 2.24, somewhere around that, children per couple. India will add at current rate 273 million people between now and 2050. India will add the population equivalent to that of Indonesia. Imagine. India's population share of the global population is about 18%, and India occupies only 2.41% of the global land. In other words, 2.40% of the land of the earth, India holds 18% of the people of the earth. A very high density. India's population density is 425 people per square kilometer. That of USA is 36 people per square kilometer. That of China is 153 people per square kilometer. So you can see India is very densely populated country. Since independence, 1947, India's population has grown four times. That of China has grown 2 times. India's urban population is 35%, rural population is 65% of the total population. India's population increase is around 17 million people per year. India adds 17 million people year after year after year. That is equivalent to adding one Israel every 3 months, one Switzerland every 6 months, and one Australia every year, year after year after year. Which country can feed, clothe, shelter, educate, and employ 17 million people added to it every year after year after year? No country can do that. Not even the richest country on earth can do that. And India is a poor country. India was rich before all the invaders came, especially the British, who ruled India for more than 161 years, exploited the Indian people and Indian resources tremendously, and stole $45 trillion from India by the end of their rule. As a result, Britain became a rich country and India became a poor country. And all the colonized countries are poor for that reason. They were all colonized and immensely exploited, just like India was. Currently, India's workforce is 484 million people. In rural area the workers are 273 million. In other words, total workforce 60% are in rural area, and many of them are underemployed or unemployed. Manufacturing, 61 million people of India are in manufacturing, the workforce. 150 million of the workforce is in services. But think about that. 40% of our workforce is illiterate. 40% are below 12th grade education. 200 million of our workers cannot sign their name. 175 million youngsters between the age of 14 and 25. They are neither in education, nor are they employed, nor are they in any kind of vocational training. What a waste of human energy, human mind. Now, good news. India's total fertility rate, TFR, is 2.24 or 2.23. Somewhere around that. That means Indian woman or Indian couple has 2.2 children in their lifetime, which is still high. It is better, but still high. In 1950s, it was close to 6 kids per woman. That was normal at that time. So it has come down to 2.2. Now, good news is that 174 districts of India are below replacement rate TFR. In other words, the TFR there is 2.1 or below. They are not increasing India's population. 447 districts of India, which are highly populated, their TFR is above 2.1. Some of them are 2.5 and some of them are 3. Very high. India's TFR rate has declined since 1975. Now, 13 states of India are below 2.1. And which are these states? These are West Bengal, Delhi, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, most of the southern states like Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Goa, Maharashtra. These are all below 2.1 TFR. In other words, they are not adding to India's population, which is very good news. Gujarat is exactly at 2.1. That means Gujarat is also at replacement level. It is not adding to India's population. But the other states, 9 states which are above 2.1 are those. They are Bihar, the poorest state of India. Uttar Pradesh, the most populated state of India. Rajasthan at the TFR of 2.5, very high. Some of them are at 3. Jharkhand, Meghalaya, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh. These are the states which really need to lower their TFR at 2.1 or below. They are way high. They are the ones who are adding to India's population, and India needs to work in those states. Usually urban India, people living in the cities, their TFR is at 1.7, which is very good. The population growth is basically increasing in the rural area, in the villages of India. India's current literacy rate is at 81% for adult male, for adult female is 62.84%, youth, the male literacy rate is at about 92%, female it is 87%. Now certain countries have already achieved TFR of 2.1, which is very good. Those countries are South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, Sri Lanka, even Bangladesh. They are at 2.1 or below. So what will be the consequences of such growth rate for India? 10 million women in India have unintended pregnancies every year. They are adding millions of kids to India's population. They do not want to, but they have unintended pregnancies. They do not have family planning kids. Today's India's population is 1.39 billion. The births are close to 27 million per year. The deaths are 9.77 million per year. So India is adding 16.6 to 17 million persons per year. 17 million children are being added to India, and they become ultimately the citizens of India per year. A whopping huge increase in India's population. In 2020, this year, right now this is August 2020, this year India will add 17.5 million people. That means India will add 1.38 million persons per month, or 13.8 lakhs mouths to feed per month. That means India will add 57,700 persons per day. That will be added. In 2020, 47,852 persons per day will be added this year. It comes to 2,403 babies per hour are added to India. And that comes to 40 persons are added every minute, and that finally comes to 1 person is added per second, day and night, to India's population. Think about it. Which country can support 17 million people added year after year after year? Which country can feed, shelter, house, clothe, employ, educate that many people year after year? It is impossible. It creates poverty, economic stagnation, scarcity, long lines. We all know there are long lines in India at airports, at bus stations, in banks, post office, everywhere, because India is very crowded and getting more and more crowded. Fierce competition for everything in India, fierce competition for admission in good colleges, good schools. There are some good jobs, then there will be thousands of applications for that. Very few people can get into IIT because we are highly populated country. We need to have zero population growth revolution in India. This is 21st century. Now there is some good news. India is entering demographic dividend. What is demographic dividend? Demographic dividend is that when number of youngsters, earning members above the age of 14, below the age of 65, they are the earners. When these people are higher in number than the dependent people, like children below 14 or old people above 64, then the country gets demographic dividend. Its economic growth increases faster because there are a large number of working people, and India is a very young country. India entered demographic dividend in 2018 and it will last for 35 to 37 years. Many countries have enjoyed demographic dividend. Economic growth during that time is propelled higher and faster. Japan entered it in 1964. It lasted up to 2004. Its growth rate was for first 2 years 8%, then it was 5 to 6% for many years. Japan became a very wealthy, developed country. China entered demographic dividend in 1994 and is almost getting over for China. But China had tremendous growth rate, as all of you know. So demographic dividend holds enormous promise for India. India has 845 million youngsters below the age of 35. It has 650 million youngsters below the age of 25. A very young country, and we should take advantage of that. India's workforce will grow to 1.08 billion by 2050. So India has tremendous promise. And so what I highly recommend is that our government, BJP government, as soon as possible should launch zero population growth revolution movement. And what are the solutions, how to carry it forward, what will be the steps to be taken by the government, that I will cover in part 2. Thank you very much. Shukriya. Jai Hind.